The Indian and Pakistani foreign secretaries are scheduled to meet on the sidelines of the Non-Aligned Movement Summit in Sharm el-Sheikh tomorrow. This interaction is likely to be followed by a meeting between Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani and his Indian counterpart, Dr. Manmohan Singh. The question is, will this diplomatic activity help resume the composite dialogue between the two estranged South Asian nuclear neighbors? Welcome to Eye of the Storm. I am Wajahat Ali. This week on the show, we'll be focusing on the complicated relationship between India and Pakistan and the prospects of enduring peace between the two countries. But first, the highlights. Purposes and cross-purposes. Sizing up the enemy. The crumbling course. Until recently, the Indo-Pak relations were on an upswing. The two countries were making tremendous strides towards peace, and according to some very high-profile Indian and Pakistani politicians, there was tangible progress on various bilateral issues. But then Mumbai happened, and a handful of militants not only brought that peace process to a grinding halt, but also raised tensions between the two countries. As India and Pakistan prepare to talk to each other once again, our correspondent Arshad Sharif looks at how they are preparing themselves for the upcoming summit in Egypt.
This meeting in Russia last month was the first high-level contact between Pakistan and India since the Mumbai attacks in November last year. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh demanded guarantees of action against the perpetrators of Mumbai attacks.
We will have a renewed reaffirmation on the part of Pakistan that they will bring the perpetrators of Bombay's massacre to justice, that they will not allow Pakistan territory to be used for terrorist act directed against our country.
India is going to the Sharm el-Sheikh meeting with terrorism on top of its agenda.
The fact that Pakistan and India have a trust deficit, Mumbai and the attack there is a test case, and therefore at the level of the foreign secretaries, if we are able to build that and say both the officials on both sides, whether it is the foreign secretaries and their ministries or the Department of the Interior or the Home Ministries, intelligence agencies are able to convey to each other a certain degree of sincerity about Mumbai and the Mumbai investigation, I think that would be a strong signal for the political apex to take the conversation or the dialogue forward and go back to what I would call as the spirit of January 2004, which is a very important document between the two countries.
Pakistan, it seems, has expressed its willingness to take action and satisfy the Indian demand for talks.
This investigation is almost complete as far as we are concerned, and the second challan against all these criminals, perpetrators, has already been given to the Prosecutor General, and we hope that next week it will be filed in the court of law.
Pakistan's Foreign Office says it is going to the Sharm el-Sheikh meeting with an open mind and no specific agenda. Yet, if the composite dialogue is resumed, Pakistan will consider it a success.
So the time from our perspective, I think, has come to sit down across the table and see how best we can resolve our differences. And the composite dialogue has given us a very tenable and realistic framework to discuss all the issues which are of concern to our both sides, be it terrorism, be it Jammu and Kashmir dispute, be it Sir Creek, Siachen. So all issues can be discussed within the framework of the composite dialogue. Hence, our desire that it would be better if the composite dialogue is resumed, and sooner the better.
Both Pakistan and India have set their priorities: terrorism for India and composite dialogue for Pakistan. At the conclusion of the Sharm el-Sheikh talks, analysts expect a trajectory of schedule for further talks to resolve outstanding issues. Arshad Sharif, Dawn News, Islamabad.
It was once described as irreversible, but is the Indo-Pak peace process sustainable beyond a certain point? Let's ask some experts.
Judged by the aftermath of the Mumbai attacks, I'm not very sanguine about the irreversibility of the peace process, because if you have a couple of incidents like these, then I think the relationship will hit the rock bottom. Even though both countries actually had issued a declaration in which they had committed themselves to declaring a peace process irreversible between the two sides, but the indications are that incidents like these can cause a lot of damage to this. And the only way to make the peace process irreversible is by broadening and deepening the dialogue process between the two countries.
We have seen suspensions from time to time, and that raises doubts if we can argue that this process has become irreversible.
Well, I think the peace process in that sense is irreversible because the military and military option is not there. For ultimately the two countries have to resolve issues, and at which time the bargaining position of which country is stronger on what issue. And my own feeling is that here the global community has to increase their pressure on India to come to the dialogue table and try to promote the peace process, because that is in the interest of not just SAARC but Asia as a whole.
I think the Indian attitude needs to change. For every little incident that happens in India, which India knows is not government of Pakistan sponsored, and yet they bring troops to our border and threaten us. Where is the logic?
You have to make the process much wider, keep it less elitist, and I think it can only become irreversible when the two countries have economic stakes in each other.
It's time now for a short break, but when we return, will anything substantial come out of the meeting in Sharm el-Sheikh?